Are you able to see my screen? Hare Krishna. Okay, something is wrong. Sorry. Just a minute. Yeah, are you able to see my screen? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame maisyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your obeisance, offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. This is 18.65, very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. It is 18.66. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So, the message of Bhagavad Gita boils down to these two verses. So, this is the final instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the previous verse, Lord Krishna said this because you are my very, very dear friend. I am speaking to you, my supreme instruction, the most confidential of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Lord Krishna is speaking as a conclusive instruction of Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes some people say there is no conclusion for Bhagavad Gita. But here Krishna is very clearly saying that here is my conclusive supreme instruction, which is the most confidential instruction. You can see that here. Okay, Sarvaguhyatamam bhuyaha shrunme paramam vachaha. Paramam vacha means topmost instruction. And then he's telling, I am telling to you this, ishtosi me dridam iti tato vakshyami tehita. I am speaking this to you because you are my very dear friend. So that means it must be very, very important. What is that instruction? It boils down to two things, two verses. Okay, let's see the first verse. What does that mean? Here is the first instruction, which is like the topmost instruction from the Supreme Lord. Manmana bhava madbhakto matyaji mam namaskuru. That means always think of me. So Krishna is saying to always think about Krishna. Madbhakto, become my devotee. And then he says, Madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mam e vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. So why should you always think of Krishna? Why should Arjuna become a devotee? And why should he worship Krishna and pay his obeisances or homages to Krishna? Why? Because by doing so, he will come to Krishna without fail. And he's saying, he's not stopping there, he's saying, Pratijane priyosime. Pratijane is a word which is coming from the word pratignya. The word pratignya is actually coming from this pratijani. So it's a promise. It's Krishna's promise. And he's again saying priyosime. Again he's saying you are my very dear friend. Because you are my very dear friend, I am promising you that if you always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homages unto me. So here are four things to be done. What are the four things to do? Manmana bhava. Always think of Krishna. Right? That is Krishna consciousness. Mad bhaktaha. To become a devotee. Matyaji. To actually worship Krishna. Mam namaskuru. That is to pay our obeisances to Krishna. These are the four things that we are supposed to do. But then somebody can argue and say, why? Why we should worship Krishna? Why is Krishna saying that worship me? What is the benefit of thinking about Krishna, becoming his devotee, worshipping him, or paying obeisances? So let us see one by one. Why should we pay obeisances to Krishna? See, when you pay obeisances to someone, you actually, there's some kind of an exchange of karma that happens, okay? So it's like you're giving your karma to the person whom you're paying obeisances to. And you're getting the good karma or the good qualities from the person whom you are paying obeisances to. So when we pay obeisances to Krishna, it is said in the Nectar of Devotion that it is better than performing 10,000 Ashwamedha Yajna, because by paying obeisances to Krishna, you can get liberated, while doing 10,000 Ashwamedha Yajnas cannot guarantee liberation. So that is the power of just simply paying one obeisances to Krishna. Why is that so important? How is it different? How is paying obeisances to Krishna different from paying obeisances to anybody else? The difference is Krishna is Purushottama. Purushottama means is the topmost person. And he also says Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. He is a Parama Pavitra. That means he is the purest of all. So being the purest of all, simply by paying obeisances to the purest person, the topmost person, simply by worshipping a topmost person, simply by becoming the devotee of that Purushottama, that Supreme Lord, by always thinking about him, we can get some qualities of Krishna. It's a very simple point. Krishna is the purest, number one. And Krishna is Satchit Ananda. Satchit Ananda means completely spiritual, always in bliss. And we are Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. That is our position right now. So by simply being in association with Krishna, by accepting Krishna as the Supreme, and simply officially becoming a devotee, the way Krishna wants us to become, we become very pure. That way we can go back to Godhead. How do we become the devotee of Krishna? Arjuna, after hearing these instructions, he says, Nashto moha smriti labdhva tat prasadat mayachyuta sitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. What is the practical meaning of becoming a devotee of Krishna? Arjuna is saying, Nashto mohaha smritir labdhva, saying, oh my dear Lord, all my illusion is gone. Smritir labdhva, I got my intelligence back. But Krishna is not still happy. But that's sentences. Okay, then Arjuna goes on and tries to say, Tvat prasadat mayachyuta. Says, oh, it's because of your mercy, my Lord. It's because of your mercy. It's not my endeavor, okay? It was your mercy which made me come back to my original state. Sitosmi gata sandeha. Now no more doubts. It's clear. Still Krishna is not happy. Until he said the last line. Karishye vachanam tava. I shall do whatever you want me to do. Then Krishna said, good. So what did you understand from that? How do you become a devotee of Krishna? Is it enough to say to Krishna, I understood everything. By your mercy, my Lord, you are the best. Krishna is not happy until you say what? The last line. Karishye vachanam tava. I shall now follow whatever you are saying. How many of you understand what I'm trying to say? What is your realization from this, devotees? Anybody can say?
That he has surrendered completely and he has taken all his advice
Yeah, what is the
in the
meaning of
right spirit.
surrender? That's what I'm asking. So it's
Uh,
easy to say.
people, uh,
No, it's
execute,
easy to,
try to execute the statement of the Lord.
yeah, that's what. See, it's very easy to say, I can just go to Krishna and say, Krishna, I'm surrendered to you. By your mercy, I understood Bhagavad Gita. It's very easy to say that, right? Until we say, Karishye vachanam tava.
I'll follow your instructions.
Yeah. Until we follow the instructions of Krishna, right? Until we become a devotee, right? To become a devotee the way Krishna wants us to become. That's very important. A lot of people don't get this. See, Krishna is transcendental. It is not possible to approach the transcendental with conditioned senses. Just try to understand this. Krishna is completely transcendental. Our original nature is also transcendental. But at the present moment, we are conditioned by the material nature. This is our current position. Agreed? What is the proof that we are conditioned? Why don't we think that we are transcendental currently? The proof that we are conditioned is the repeated occurrence of birth, disease, old age, and death. As long as these things are happening to us, we can be sure that at the moment we are in a polluted state, in a conditioned state. In this conditioned state, it is not possible to see Krishna, to understand Krishna. Right? Atah Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Grahyam Indriyaihi Sevanmukhehi Jivvadav Spuratyeva Ataha. That means the name, the form, and the pastimes of Krishna, they are transcendental. And our material senses cannot perceive Krishna's transcendental form. But it is only possible by doing seva, starting from our mouth, that is from the tongue. That is by chanting the holy names of Krishna. After taking it duly from the spiritual master in the form of initiation. Only then we can actually be chanting the names of Krishna. Right? This is very important. So how do we become a devotee? How to become a devotee? It is by following the instructions of the Lord. Now God, Krishna, has shown it how bhakti has to be executed. So when he came in the form of Krishna, he gave the instructions. But in which incarnation did he show us how to do bhakti? Can anybody say? In which incarnation did he show practically how to do bhakti? Who can say that?
Hare Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's called Channa Avatara. That means he has come as a devotee. He has himself, Krishna has himself descended as a devotee. And then he has himself shown how bhakti has to be performed. He takes the Harinama Diksha from whom? Ishwarapuri. Right? Who is a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. He took the Harinam Diksha from Ishwarapuri. Right? And then he chanted the holy names of Krishna. And he showed us how we must follow the rules and regulations. Sadhana bhakti. Right? So this is like very clear instruction. Right? So until we say Karishye Vachanam Tava, there is no possibility of claiming that we are a devotee. Until we agree to follow whatever Krishna is saying, we cannot claim that, we are actually doing devotional service. Right? So the moment we actually start following what Krishna says, that is when we are going closer towards Krishna. That is when we become Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosim. And then the Lord's promise starts to unfold. And we are actually starting to go back to Godhead. See, every day, whatever activity that we are doing is creating a body for us. So, for example, somebody can say, I'm just going to my office, I'm just doing my work. What are you saying? I don't understand what you're talking. It's like this. Krishna defines karma means bhuta bhavad bhavet bhavo karma. That means karma is something which creates body, material body for you. That means I may be doing something. I may be cooking, I may be going to office, I may be doing any work. But actually, you know what? Every activity, I'm creating a next body for myself. Not only next lifetime, next to next lifetime body is also getting created because of my consciousness. So the bodies are getting ready one after the other. Unless we become Krishna conscious, unless we surrender to the lotus feet of the spiritual master, unless we become fully transcendental, there is no possibility of going back to Godhead. Right? This is very important. Right? So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has demonstrated devotional service, and then he has given his instructions also. He has given his instructions to his devotees, to his disciples, to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. His instructions that he has given to Rupa Goswami have been formally recorded. Do you know what is the name of that book? Can anybody say what is the name of the book where Lord Chaitanya gave instructions to Rupa Goswami? What's the name of that book? Where can we find that instruction? So, like, we may be curious, what are the instructions of Krishna? Who wants to say that?
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then
Nectar
not
of
exactly.
devotion.
Nectar of devotion.
Nectar of devotion. I'm sharing my screen. You can see it here. Okay, nectar of devotion. This is the direct instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami. So in this, you can see he has given this knowledge to Rupa Goswami in a very holy place. Can anybody guess what is the name of the place?
Kumbha.
Prayagraj. Yeah.
Prayagraj. Yeah, Kumbha.
So in the Dashashwamedha Ghat, he has given that. And he says how to discharge bhakti. He explains bhakti, how to do. And he mentions the basic principles as follows. Let us see what is Krishna saying, what is the meaning of becoming a devotee. Right? We're talking about Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto. We're seeing the topmost instruction of Krishna. But what is the topmost instruction of Krishna? What is the first step of becoming executing the topmost instruction of Krishna? What is the first step? Step number 1.
Shravanam.
Wrong. Anybody? Thank you. Anybody wants to try? What is the first step of?
Accepting a guru.
Shraddha.
Yes, that's right.
Shraddha.
The first step of devotional service to accept the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. Here you can see how to discharge devotional service. This is the instruction given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First step is accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. That's step 1. There are many more steps after that. Second step, becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. Step 2, obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. Step 3, Step 4, following in the footsteps of the great acharyas under the direction of the spiritual master. Step 5, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. Step 6, being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Residing in the sacred place like Dwaraka or Vrindavan, accepting only what is necessary or dealing with material world only as far as possible, observing the fasting day of Ekadashi, and worshipping sacred trees like banyan tree, and there are many more things. There are many more things. The 64 things, 64 activities of bhakti, etc. Okay, so but the main point is it all starts with the first point, that is like, Ado Shraddha Tato Sadhu Sangha, taking the shelter of the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master. Again, bona fide spiritual master doesn't mean impersonalist guru. I mean, going to some impersonalist, and impersonalist means somebody who is who has himself not accepted Krishna as person, who has not accepted Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can that person give Krishna to us? Simple point. And that person must be in one of the 4 bona fide paramparas, which are mentioned in the Padma Purana, which are mentioned in the scriptures. So such a pure devotee, we should take shelter, and that is how we can start executing our first steps of bhakti under the instructions of the spiritual master. Then we understand how to do bhakti. So that is how we can actually go back to Godhead. Actually, if you see the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not possible to go back to Godhead without the help of a pure devotee. That is what Rahugana was inquiring to Jada Bharata. Jada Bharata says, my dear King Rahugana, the only way to get bhakti is by doing bath at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. That means to take the dust of the lotus feet of the spiritual master, dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee. Unless we roll in that dust of the lotus feet of the spiritual master or the pure devotee, we cannot get bhakti. That is how we can become bhakta. That is how we can become manmana bhava. That is how we can think about Krishna 24/7. This is the meaning of karishye vachanam tava, to follow the instructions of what Krishna is saying. Means to do practically executing it, means this is the first step. Nectar of devotion is the practical instruction, how to do bhakti. So then that way we can go back to Godhead. Right? So here Prabhupada is saying that we should mold our way in such a way that we have to always think about Krishna. Right? 24/7 we should try to think about Krishna. Right? And particularly Krishna here saying in the form of Krishna, particularly the 200 form of Krishna. That is very important. Let's go to the next verse, very important. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. Now here is the next point. Now what is the reason why people do not surrender to Krishna? Why don't they follow? Krishna's instructions are so simple. It's very clear. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions are very, very clear, simple instructions, right? Saying do sadhana bhakti. First take the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, and under his guidance, do the devotional service how the great acharyas in the past have done. Simple instructions. But people will say, no, I cannot do it. Why? So it's because of some kind of a belief. So the only reason why we do not act is because of some self-limiting belief. So behind the inaction, there will be a belief. We have to address that root belief. What is that root belief? Generally, people will say, you see, I cannot take to Krishna consciousness. I already have my system, right? Or something like, for example, oh, my ancestors have already been worshipping someone. We have got a different system at our house. How can I follow Krishna? Are you understanding what I'm saying? We've got a different system at our house. Or maybe I think, okay, this is what Krishna thinks. But I think we should be doing it like this. So what's the problem with that thought? Anybody can say? When Krishna says, you should surrender to me, and I say, no, but I think we should not. I think there is something else. What is the meaning of that? Is that correct attitude? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Hare Krishna, anybody can say.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna is talking to Arjuna in the battlefield. Krishna is saying, do this. But Arjuna is saying, wait, wait, wait. But I think we should not fight. Krishna is saying, fight. Arjuna is saying, no, 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 no. I think I should not fight. The reason is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And maybe there is no faith.
Yeah. There's no faith, right? So that's what Krishna is saying. Whatever your belief may be, he's saying, throw it. Abandon it. Just forget it. It is insignificant. Whatever Arjuna may come up with some theory, it is not at all significant in front of Krishna's instruction. So similarly, we may have our own beliefs, our value systems, our conditioning. These conditioning are coming from many, many lifetimes. With this conditioning, with our value system, we cannot go back to Godhead. My value system may say something that I like this. This is what I think. Every living entity may have their own value system, but that is not going to work. It is not beneficial for us to go back to Godhead. The only thing that works is this. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. To always think of Krishna, to become a devotee, to pay obeisances to Krishna, and to worship him. Anything which is coming in the way is actually an obstacle for liberation. So our personal likes and dislikes, raga, dvesha, Krishna says, they are simply obstacles in your path of devotional service. So simply abandon them. It can be anything. Doesn't matter. So the so-called religious principles, right, are also to be abandoned. Here is an interesting point. My question to you. Krishna is saying that dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So established dharma I am coming, but in the last verse of Bhagavad Gita is saying sarva dharman parityaja. What does that mean? Anybody can say? Why is he saying that? If Krishna is coming to establish dharma, but then in the last verse he's saying parityajya. Tyajya and parityajya, difference is there. Tyajya means give up. Parityajya means throw it, he's saying. And he's saying sarva dharma. He's saying everything you just throw. Whatever you think it is dharma. It doesn't matter at all. So can anybody say? What is the meaning of that? If he has come to establish dharma, why is he saying throw away dharma? What is the meaning of that? Can anybody say? Do we expect this from the Supreme Lord who has come to establish dharma? To abandon all varieties of religion? We thought we are going to learn some religion. But here Gita is saying abandon religion. What does it mean? So what it means is the topmost religion is to take the shelter of Lord. The topmost religious principle is to actually abandon everything else except Krishna. So the mundane moral principles, it can be everything, being very truthful, I'm a very good person. I always speak truth. I am so charitable. All of this is simply nonsense in simple words. Unless we surrender to Krishna, it is simply a sense gratification and nothing else. So nothing counts. Okay, the final instruction is Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. Prabhupada says, a person, if he is not surrendering to Krishna, he is a very violent person. How is it possible? So somebody can say, no, I'm very non-violent. I'm a vegetarian. I don't even harm the plants. No, you're very violent. That's what Prabhupada is saying. How? How is that possible? Because if we do not surrender to Krishna, then we are subject to repeated birth and death ourselves. And because we are not setting a good example, all our dependents also will follow us. They will also be suffering the repeated birth and death. That means we do not have any compassion to ourselves and to our dependents. So now, is that not violence? To subject ourselves and to all our dependents to repeated miseries forever. Is this called compassion? Is it not violence? It is violence. It is actually violence. It is called lack of compassion. You see? So to be compassionate, to be truthful, again, somebody says that I'm very truthful, but I'm not Krishna conscious. Then what is the meaning of truthfulness if we do not follow whatever Krishna is saying? Krishna is himself the supreme truth. He's saying, I'm the absolute truth. He says that the absolute truth that everybody is looking for is me. That's why he's called Satya, Satya Narayana. So when he is Satyam Param Dhimahi, Satyam Param, Parama Satya, if we do not follow the supreme truth, that is to accept the instructions of Krishna, to remember him at the time of death is the supreme instruction and the supreme truth. That he is the only person who is actually existing before the creation and after the creation. He is the person who is always with us. If we cannot accept this basic truth, what is the use of our so-called truthfulness in front of mundane people? That is simply a so-called religion. It's called as Kaitava Dharma. Kaitava Dharma means cheating religious principle. Means it is the religious principle which we are using simply to impress others and to feel good about ourselves. It's a sense gratification and it is actually not helping in any ways. It's simply a fake. The real religion is to actually surrender unto Krishna. Just simply following the instructions of Krishna is the real religion. So why should I follow? Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. This is the main point. So again, somebody can say, really? Is that possible? Are you sure? So therefore, Krishna is saying, Ma Sucha. Do not worry. Don't have doubt whether I shall be able to deliver all your sinful activities or not. First of all, do not have that doubt. Whether I am capable of doing it or not, whether I will do it or not. Do not have that doubt. Ma Sucha. Don't worry. Definitely. You simply do whatever I am saying. You abandon everything and surrender unto me. I shall deliver you. Draupadi Devi, when she was in that assembly, vicious assembly, when she was dragged by Dushasana, etc., she had 5 husbands, right? So 5 powerful husbands, but they were not able to help her, isn't it? And then she was trying to help herself when she was being disrobed. Dushasana is a very powerful warrior, and Draupadi, she is trying to hold her sari, and Dushasana is trying to disrobe her, pulling her sari. She was trying to hold her sari, with her hands, but nothing is working. That's when she actually completely surrenders to Krishna. Right? She surrenders to Krishna. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. Immediately Krishna gives protection. So in our life also, We are holding back something from Krishna. We have to self-reflect. What is it that, I'm stopping myself? Why am I not able to follow the instructions of Krishna? We should actually reflect. The moment we just follow, just let loose, simply follow whatever Krishna does, all auspiciousness happens. Right? The best things start to happen. And the best examples of this verse is the residents of Vrindavan. How can you say that? So how is it applicable for them? How did the residents of Vrindavan, particularly the gopis of Vrindavan, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender to Krishna? Can anybody explain? What does that mean? Anybody can say. Why am I saying that the best example for this shloka is the gopis? Why?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
The headache pastime of Lord Shri Krishna, only the gopis were willing to give the dust of their lotus feet. None of them wanted to. So they had given up all dharmas and only accepted Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, nice one. Would you like to explain the pastime for everyone? Yeah, I'll just repeat the pastime Mataji is saying. Mataji is referring to a pastime where Krishna gets a headache. And then he asks the queens of Dwarka to give, he says that I'm getting a headache. Okay, please help me. And they say, okay, how can I help you? Narada asks, how can I help you? He says, I need the dust of my devotee on my head. Then the queens of Vrinda, the Dwarka say, no, we cannot give you our dust to your head. They will all go to hell. He says, okay, go to Vrindavan and get some. They go to Vrindavan and then they ask the gopis, and the gopis are ready to give the dust of their feet. And somebody asks them, are you not scared of going to hell? He says, that's not important. We going to hell or heaven. We just want Krishna to relieve him from his headache. Okay, thank you. Anybody else can say, like, how are you saying that, how do you know that gopis have actually abandoned all varieties of religion and surrendered to Krishna? Can anybody say?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In the middle of the night, they leave everything.
Even the rasa dance, Prabhuji, where
Yeah.
they give up when he plays the flute, they leave everything where it is, irrespective of how busy they were, and they went off.
Yes. They give up
And were
everything.
not coming to, not willing to come back in spite of Krishna asking them to go.
Right. So there's some difference. Okay, Arjuna is saying, Krishna, I shall not fight my this war. Okay, and I shall just simply, always think about you. But Krishna said, stop, just fight. But the gopis, they came in the middle of the night and they said, okay, we don't want anything except you. Then he said, go back, but they didn't go. And Krishna was very pleased. Right? So, see, some of these gopis, there were some unmarried gopis, some of them were married, some of them had children. Right? But it is said, when they came to Krishna, they abandoned everything and they came to Krishna. So, is that religion? Is this religion that we are supposed to learn? Is this religious? To abandon our family for the sake of Krishna? How is it religion? The religious principle that we know is to take care of our family. And the gopis are setting an example where to give up our family. What does it mean? Can anybody explain me? What is the perspective? What are we supposed to do?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna.
what I think is that these are all bodily relationships which we have with our family. And the only relationship, the true relationship is with the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord takes care of everyone. We should know that and have faith in him. So we should abandon everybody when it comes to Krishna.
Perfect. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
By having bodily relationships, we can never go back to Godhead. My wife, my children, my husband, my parents, my, we can never go back to Godhead. Okay? So such kind of bodily relationships, we should abandon it. In the sense that what it means is, anukulyasya sankalpo pratikulyasya varjanam. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to imitate the gopis. We cannot imitate gopis. They are in the highest possible, they're the topmost devotees. We cannot imitate Haridas Thakur. He chanted 22 hours a day. We cannot sleep 2 hours a day. Right? We cannot imitate Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami used to eat the spoiled remnants of Jagannath Puri, which are like, completely decayed. That prasadam he used to have. We cannot have that. We cannot imitate Rupa Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, or the pure devotees, great devotees. None of them. We should not imitate them, right? But we should follow the instructions. How many of you are understanding the difference? Here is the principle. Krishna is saying the principle is that we must be willing to give up anything for the sake of Krishna. That is the principle. Doesn't necessarily mean we should give up, but we should be willing to give up. So here it says, you can see one of the 10 things is, here it is. The first 10 principles, you can see, first principle is to accept the shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. And then one must be willing to prepare to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So to make Krishna happy, we should be ready to give up our material, anything, whatever it may be. We should be willing to be. Right? Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to imitate the gopis. Right? So that is the way in which, we have to do devotional service. That is, anukulyasya sankalpo pratikulyasya varjanam. That is, we should be willing to give up anything which is unfavorable, give up. Whatever is favorable, take it up. Right? So we have to, so who is going to tell us what is unfavorable and what is favorable? Who is going to say that? Who is going to say? How are you going to decide what is favorable and what is not?
Our spiritual master will guide us, Prabhuji.
That's right. The spiritual master is going to say what is favorable, what is unfavorable. Am I right? We cannot judge for ourselves what is favorable and what is unfavorable. Or even if we can, we should try to judge and try to see what is actually material, what is unspiritual here, right? So this is the final instruction. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshayishyati iti vishvaso goptrutve varanam tata atmanikshepa karpanye satvida sharanagati. Sharanagati, it is not enough to simply say with lips, I have surrendered Krishna, I have surrendered Krishna. No. We should be ready to perform the instructions of Krishna. Just like Arjuna said, Karishye vachanam tava, I shall do whatever you're saying. That is the symptom of surrender, right? What is the use of simply saying, Krishna, I have understood, nashto moha smriti labdva, tvat prasadat maya chuta, gatosmi, stitosmi, gata sandeha. What is the use of all of this, right? Saying, Krishna, I have understood everything of Bhagavad-gītā. It's very clear for me. Everything is clear to me. Everything clear to me. You're so good. You're so good. You're so great. Everything. But I'm not ready to do what you are saying. I'll continue to do my whatever I think is correct. That is not sufficient. Karishye vachanam tava. Should be willing to perform what Krishna says. It may be not pleasant to us, right? But, I'll just tell you one simple thing. Try this out. Try to just put your hands like this, clasp your hands. Try to put this, did you do this? Yes? All of you? Clasp your hands. Done? So now observe and tell me which finger has come first, right thumb or left thumb? Which one has come first? For you. Unmute and tell me.
For me,
Hare
left
Krishna.
thumb, Prabhuji.
Okay.
For me, right, Prabhuji.
Okay. Others? Are they hearing or not?
Right, Prabhuji. Right.
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 Okay. Right? Okay, fine. Now do the opposite. Do the opposite, okay? Make the opposite thumb come forward and clasp your hands. Did you do it? Opposite side. Make the other thumb come up. Opposite. If your left was originally coming, make right come first. If right was coming, make left come first. How is it feeling now? How are you feeling now? How are you feeling?
It's not feeling natural.
It's not feeling natural. You're feeling, what about others? How are you feeling? I'm not able to hear anybody speak. What happened?
The grip is not very strong.
Yeah, you're not feeling, something is wrong, right?
It's not comfortable as
Not
the
comfortable,
first one.
right? Not comfortable, right? This is the
Yeah.
instruction. Be willing to become uncomfortable for the sake of Krishna. Come out of your comfort zone. Okay? For us, this may be the natural thing. I'm comfortable like this. But Krishna is saying, come out of your comfort zone. Follow what I am saying. It may be uncomfortable for us, may not be fitting our value system. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes, Prabhuji.
That is called Sarvadharman Parityajya. Coming out of your comfort zone and simply following the instructions of Krishna. Then something good will happen to us. Right? What is that good thing? We'll go back to Godhead. Right? That means following the acharyas. Acharyas have given us a system. We have to follow the acharya system. Should be first of all, we should be willing to accept the spiritual master, the Guru Parampara, that yes, this is bona fide, first step. Then we should follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Then something good will happen to us. Then when we come out of our comfort zone, when we break from our conditioning, our process of thinking, all our value system, whatever it may be, which has come from so many lifetimes, that's when, actually things start to fall in place. That's when we actually become surrendered to Krishna, right? So sadhana bhakti is like that. Okay, we have to do some uncomfortable things, like fasting on certain days, right? Prabhupada will say, okay, fast on, he says in Chaturmasya, he'll say in 1 month, do not have milk. But I like milk. I cannot stay without milk. In 1 month, you should not have curd. But I love curd. I can't stay without curd. I love curd. 1 month, do not eat urad dal. Oh, I like dosa. All right. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Chant the rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, 16 rounds. But I feel I want to chant only 8. No, chant 16. Is that clear? Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees. Any questions? Any